right, welcome back to the Gym Business Coach Podcast. I'm your host, Tim Lyons. Hello, how you doing? Joined by Randy Angston. What's up, man?
Doing? I'm good, man. Back in the saddle. Yep.
Saddled up. Well, you do have a saddle. You go out on your horse
I
into the
do.
town.
Yeah, I go anywhere. Anywhere I can take my horse, I'm good with it.
That's nice.
It is nice.
It's real nice, especially with the weather right now.
This is why we live here right
Yeah.
now. Ask me that in 3 months, I'll probably have a different opinion. But yep.
Yeah. Great episode for you guys today. Here's what we're going to talk about real quick, because in our Iron Circle experiences, we do something called campfire. And so campfire originated in our second experience ever. It was in Sundance, Utah. The snow was coming down outside. We were in this beautiful cabin style mountain home, big rock fireplace. We turned on the fire and we just kind of sat around and talked. We talked about why we're doing what we're doing. What was the point? And it was really eye-opening because there was a lot of different reasons. And we continue that tradition every single Grow Summit, kind of kick off the night.
ICX experience.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Our Iron Circle experience to kick off like the weekend. We have dinner, we gather around, and, hopefully there's a fire. We still call it campfire, even if there isn't. But long and short of it is, it was like, John Farkas, who's one of our longest standing Iron Circle members, he led us in this kind of like, exercise about, urgency and time. And unfortunately he had a bad, as he lost his father this year, and it kind of put things in perspective for him. And like, there's only so much time that we have. And, urgency, to me, is that one skill set that kind of sets people apart. The most urgent people in life, I believe, are the most successful because they don't wait. Time is continuing to pass. You can never get time back. You could always get money back and items back and, material things back. But time is always ticking. And, you don't ever want to look back and say, I wish I would have, I could have, I should have, all these things. But in that same thread, you can also do too many things. And you can be doing things that don't serve you. And you could be doing things that waste time because you think you should do them. But they don't really ever get you closer to what the goal is. And, that's kind of where I chimed in. And there was like these kind of three questions or everything that can be done. You have the things you should do, the things you want to do, and the things that you have to do in life. And you could put anything into that category, like this podcast, for example. We should do this. We actually have to do this for the business.
Sure.
But I actually want to do this,
Yep.
right? So it's not like it's one or the other. So like this podcast, we have to do it, and it's just what we're going to do today, and that's what it is. Working out. We should do it, and actually you have to do it, and we want to do it. So like there's three things there. But there's also things like going to your aunt's birthday party celebration across town. You're going to have to go across town and you should do it, but you really don't want to. So then you're like, well, I'm not going to.
Sure.
And so like everything kind of goes through that filter with me. But the biggest eye opener, and I think this will be the same thing for anybody listening, is the things you do should move you towards the goal. And I don't believe that many people know what they want. They just don't know what the end goal is. They go to work every day. They put fires out. They do the things that gets them through that day, and then they go to bed and they start all over.
Wash, rinse, repeat. Yeah.
They start all over tomorrow without any real vision of what that end goal looks like. And again, nobody can tell you what the end goal looks like for you, but you should have some direction. Whether or not that's I want to be on the beach in Belize and soaking up the sand, sun and sand and having pina colada.
Yeah.
Or it's I'm out serving and building churches and schools for underprivileged and like what is it, right? Like, how much money should you have? Where will you be? What's your family look like? What are you doing? Like, are you still working? 10 years, 20 years down the road. And I could tell you, I look at the picture over there on the wall in my other office with the grand opening. It literally feels like yesterday when we were opening this gym. It was 17 years ago.
Isn't that nuts?
16 and a half, 17 years ago. And it's like, man, I remember that day. It was like we're cutting this ribbon. We had done radio spots and we had this food set up. And I remember talking to people coming in, and it was so funny because I was like, these people are literally here to eat the food. They came for the food. And like,
Sure.
Where do you live? I live in South Phoenix. Like, you literally heard us on the radio, heard there was food, and you came. Like, that's how vivid it was.
Yeah.
I remember the office. I remember having my parents there and grandparents there, and all. It was a pretty cool time. But like, here we are 17 years later. Thank God I can look back and say, hey, that's been pretty successful 17-year ride. Like, I don't have any regrets on that. But
not one
letter.
Not
one letter. But the problem, I believe, is most owners, gym owners, and even trainers and everybody in between, just, you're just going through the motions, and there's no real vision of what is going to get you closer to the end goal.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I think that all of the actions, all of everything kind of comes from that goal. And it's a juggle of priorities. It's not always easy. Sometimes you make hard decisions for the things that maybe you feel like you're obligated or should do. But when you take that step back and you look at, like, what is my vision for what I want in life, sometimes some of those things just don't fit.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be business stuff. It could be relational stuff with family. It could be the next step in business or an opportunity in business, but it doesn't really align with what you see yourself doing for the future or what you want to be doing for the future. So sometimes there are those opportunities where, you do have to weigh and measure, is this something I should? Do I feel obligated that do I have to? Or is this something I want to? And ultimately, I think the winning script, I guess, or position to be in would be if you looked at everything that you do each day, every one of those is something that you want to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's the winning formula.
Yeah, well, I mean, it would be like the winning formula, right? But we have to look at it, and you kind of mentioned it, but I wanted to reframe it, right? Things either take from, like, they suck the energy out of you, or they provide you with energy. They reinvigorate you. And it's not necessarily the effort that goes into it, right? You might, like, for example, our Grow Summit, massive demand on our energy, our time, financial resources. It's massive. And going into it, we're all like, this is such a big deal. We all take it, as this massive project on our plate. And it's draining at times. But the second we get there, it's like we're all on. Oh man, we're all energized. We know that, like, through all that hardship, this was the right thing to do. We do want to do this, even though we shouldn't. But sometimes we feel obligated that we have to, right? But when you're there and when you're actually living and experiencing it, it's pouring so much energy into you as opposed to taking it away. Yeah. And that's a tough thing to do. But I think, to your point, if you don't have a vision in mind for what your life, meaning business, relationships, time with family, all of the things that equates to, if you don't have a clear vision of that, you're going to spend your days putting out fires or just going through the motions. And as an entrepreneur, I think that you kind of have, you're almost forced to create somewhat of that vision, but it can be lost. Gym owners, you guys made a hard choice to go open up a business, but you did it with something in mind. It wasn't necessarily, it's not the four walls, it's not the equipment, it's not the tangibles when you walk into the business. It's the vision that you have for what the impact is going to be on the community, what this can do for you as an individual owning the business and the lifestyle it can create for you. But sometimes you just get into it, and there's so much that's happening on a day-to-day basis, you forget what that really looks like. And I think part of your challenge for the listeners is, do you still have a vision for what you want out of life?
Yeah.
What this business can do for you as an owner?
Yeah, and it can do a lot, guys. I mean, it's a tough business. It's not the easiest one out there you could be doing, but it's very fulfilling. I will be honest with you. The relationships you make, with members and with your team, and having like, I mean, there's something to be said about, hey, there's a headquarters, right? You head
Yeah.
down to headquarters, or we call it HQ or whatever. Something cool about that. Like, yeah, you got a cool gym, and like you're you're the envy of a lot of people that like didn't take any risks. You're like, you own a gym? That is like, so you get rewarded for like the decisions you make. But then on the backside of that, it's a catch 22 because everybody thinks it's all, sunshine and rainbows and unicorns. You know the real grind. You know this isn't easy. And it sometimes can't, it sometimes isn't fulfilling.
Sure.
You could actually despise your gym. And if you ever get into that point, two things need to happen. One, you need to decide to move on and let's just get out of this operation and whatever. Or obviously, I think the second and better choice is to fix it, figure out where the problems are. That's what we do in our coaching program, obviously, and then fix those things because you can turn a gym around real quick.
Sure.
I'll be honest with people. Like there was a point in time where Pulse Fitness, the gym just prior to this one, before we rebranded, it was a little stale. It was like, it's like not real exciting. Revenue was great, and people would have like where we were at the time. People would love to have been in that position, but it was just like, ho hum. And then we did the rebrand, and all the energy came back. It was like, man, one, because I enjoyed the construction and the moving parts of that side of the business, but also when we reopened, it was like a new vision had been created. And
Fresh.
so while that's a big undertaking, there's guys in our Iron Circle, especially, that have gone through that revamp and their business takes off again. And it's not just because of the rebrand or the remodel or whatever. It's because the owner's invigorated again. There's a new vision again. And sometimes that is the actual kick in the ass that you need to do. Because if you're in your operation every day and it's so boring and you're like, another day, nothing exciting today, well then, you kind of lose that energy, and it's almost like, what are we doing this for?
Like, yeah, you kind of take your foot off the gas. I think there's a trickle-down effect too, though. I think that, through the rebrand, not only did you feel that, but the team feels it.
Mm-hmm.
It's carried over into the excitement when they're now working with clients. The clients get an aspect of that, right? They feel part of something, not necessarily new, but new in a way. It's fresh. It's new energy.
Yeah.
And that energy breeds more energy.
Yeah.
Right?
Look, this studio here, new podcast set, new logos on our shirts. Like, it's kind of weird to kind of like throw away 10 years of brand identity, but like at the same time, it's worth it because you just got new energy, new vision. And so anyways, guys, I mean, the point to the message is this: is time is finite. You do not have time. You do not have time to wait. You do not have time to say, hey, we'll see what happens. You must take action. It's cliche to say that, hey, you can have all the information in the world. Nothing happens if you don't take action. It's true. But you know what else is true? Is you'll never get that time back. And so like the longer you wait, the worse things get, and the harder it is to turn the ship around. If you guys are going down into a dark hole, the longer you wait to finally face that problem, the harder it's going to be to ever get out of it. And, bottom line is this: what do you want? Take some time, today, tomorrow, this weekend, as you're listening to this. What do you want? And it's like so funny to say, like, you don't know what you want. But that's a very difficult question to answer. Not because it's personal, not because it's like, how do I know what I want if I don't know what's available? Like that, there's a lot of reasons why that question's hard. But I would take it a step further and be like, look at the calendar, put it out to the end of the year or even next year, and be like, okay, this is how much money I need to have. This is how much, where I need to live. This is what my business is doing. And you can write those things down. But in order for you to get to the goal, you need to know what the goal is. Okay. So I know it's weird to say that on a podcast, like everybody's gonna be different. But some of you, it might be selling your gym. Some of you might be growing to 5 gyms. Some of you, it might be keeping your gym, doing something else. Some of you, it might be starting a family, getting married, getting divorced, moving, selling your gym to one of your coaches and then being an investor. Who knows? I don't know. It's whatever you want to do. For me, it's going to be snowboarding somewhere, but I need snow to do
We
that,
need that
right?
snow. Yeah. It doesn't work when it's 70 degrees right now.
Oh, it's so tough. Such a bummer. But guys, you do not have time. That's the bottom line. You don't have time. Take action, be urgent, and get into action. I guess don't be paralyzed by the fear of what it's going to take to get where you want to be. Just take the damn action. If part of taking action is booking a call with us, I welcome you guys to do that. The link will be in the show notes, because if there's one thing that I know after being in this business for so damn long, is that two gyms could be in the same place today, and the one that take action could be at a different place at the end of the year. And looking back and seeing, I'll give you a quick example. And I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. I was in a mastermind group before we started the Iron Circle. Great group of guys. And we were all about the same. I mean, honestly, we were all about the same. And this would have been probably 2015, 16, 17, 2018, 2019, somewhere in there. Yeah, it was 2015 to 2019. That was when that other group was around. It's not that long ago.
No.
And I look back, and unfortunately, there's some of those operators in that mastermind that are literally in the same place. And it's tough to look back and say that, but like, we were all equal, and now we're in dramatically different places. And it came down to the actions and the decisions that they made, like, period. And it's nobody's fault but theirs, or ours, or not theirs, right? But there's circumstances, life things. But like, how can 25 gems be in the same place, and then like half of them are quadruple and 5 and 12x what they were, and some are the same or even worse?
Yeah.
And it's tough to say, but it's the reality. And it was just the action, because there was no urgency.
Yeah, and back to like how we started the podcast too, though, make sure that those actions are in alignment with what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let the shiny ball, just steer you over here, or the consistent repetition of putting out fires every day. Think that you're going to get to that goal at the end of you have to be hyper intentional about the actions that you're taking. And sometimes that requires less. Sometimes that requires, not taking less action. Let me be clear. Sometimes it requires less across the plate, right? Figure out all of the things that I can go apply attention to. What are the ones that are going to move the needle for me in my life, the business that I have? They're going to get me to the goal and the vision that I have for myself, my family, etc. And some of that does require subtraction, right? We only have a finite number of time, resources, finances, energy. And if you're allowing yourself to just pour it into everything, you're probably not going to get there. And so be very intentional about the actions that you're taking. Make sure it's in alignment with that vision that you have at the end.
Yeah. Awesome, guys. Well, we'll leave you with that. Hopefully that helps you guys. If you do need help, you know how to find us. That's it for this episode. Until next time, keep changing lives. See you on the next one. Bye.